Alright guys, we're at Numbers 20 today, made it up to this point, and basically the people are now running around the wilderness again. God told them that he wasn't going to bring them into the land, all the older people, he was going to bring the younger people in. And the people are getting upset because basically they're in rough land, and they're complaining that we don't have seeds or figs or pomegranates, and we don't have kind of the luxuries. We're still on that Christian path. We're still on that road. We're still struggling, and um, they're complaining that they need water, and that they're starting to. It says that, and the people chode with Moses and spake, saying, "Would God that we died when our brethren died before the Lord." So they're saying that it would have been better if we had just died with the other people that rebelled and God killed them. Um, but in verse 8 we see that God is telling Moses, all right, yeah, I get that the people, need water. And then he tells Moses, take the rod and gather thou the assembly together, thou and Aaron thy brother, and speak ye unto the rock before their eyes, and it shall give forth his water, and thou shalt bring forth to them water out of the rock. So he tells them, I want you to go, grab your rod, grab Aaron, go over there, and I want you to speak to the rock. And I want you to see Moses' attitude and basically how he reacts to the people. In verse 10, it says that he appeared, and Moses and Aaron gathered the congregation together before the rock, and he said unto them, talking about unto the children of Israel, Hear now, ye rebels, must we fetch you water out of this rock? So he basically says, do we have to come together and get water for you people? And it kind of creates this separation between Moses and the people. A distinction like, me and Aaron were with God, but you people aren't. And it gives the impression that God is angry with the people. And then he goes on in verse 11, it says, And Moses lifted up his hand with his rod, and he smote the rock twice, and water came out abundantly. And basically what's happening there is God tells him, look, I want you to just go over there. I want you to just speak to the rock. The rock is going to pour out water. And Moses goes over there and has a few choice words, kind of an arrogant, prideful type thing. Me and God, me and Aaron, we got all these things together, but you guys don't. And here, I'm going to get water for you guys, and smack the rock twice. And it's really kind of an attitude here where he's misrepresenting God. And this upset God. And in verse 12 it says, And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, because ye believe me not. All right, they did not believe God. So I know people want to kind of go off on diatribes on um, why he smote the rock, and why this and why that, and why God tells him these things, but he tells him plainly, because you believe me not. So apparently Moses did not believe that God was going to get water out of this rock, just by speaking to it. And he says, Because ye believe me not, to sanctify me in the eyes of the children of Israel. All right. So God was here trying to reestablish a relationship, so to speak. He was reaching out to the people. He understood that they needed water, and he's reaching out to them and saying, look, I'm going to get you water. Moses, go over there and speak to the rock. And Moses goes over there and basically just gets upset and starts yelling at the people, and then he smacks the rock. And Moses, because he is a representative of God, the people see God's attitude and God's character through Moses. And as a result of this, Moses gives a false impression. He gives the impression that God is upset with the people, and God wasn't. And that's something that we need to think about as Christians, is how we represent God. Um, Judgment is a part of the Bible. Grace and mercy is a part of the Bible. All of those are parts of God's character. But to misrepresent one to the exclusion of the other, is to view God, so to speak, through a carnival mirror, where things are distorted and they're out of balance, and this is not a true picture of God. The only true reflection of God that we have is through His Son, and what we have about God's Son is in His Word. So we want to be sure to listen to the details, to pay attention to God's instructions, to not impose our own personality flaws, which we've already seen is corrupt, not to impose our own personality traits, so to speak, onto God by emphasizing this or de-emphasizing that, but to just focus on what it is that God said and to represent Him in that manner. And as a result of this, in verse 12 it says that God told him, "Therefore ye shall not bring the congregation into the land which I have given them." So he tells Moses here, not that he's not going to heaven, not that the people aren't going to heaven, but he tells him, "I'm not going to bring you into that place of rest. Your life is basically going to be wrought with struggle until you die off." And we see this in Pilgrim's Progress, where people are going down this road, this Christian life, and some eventually make it to this place of peace, but some struggle. They never make it to this place of kind of assurance and rest and stuff like that. It's wrought with battle and doubt, and then reestablishing belief, and we're looking for that place of rest, and this is something that that Moses was not allowed to come into. And there's actually lots of preachers throughout history who battled with this as well. Spurgeon battled with this. Hudson Taylor battled with this up into a point where he has a moment years after he started ministering in China, where he battled with depression and things like this, and just kind of an overall lack of peace and assurance. But God did bring him into that, and Hudson Taylor talks about this in one of his writings, and he calls it the exchanged life, where he finally reaches this place of peace, and then everything that is pouring out of him, he can just feel that coming out and via the Holy Spirit, as opposed to of his own work and his own efforts and stuff like that. And this is the rest that I think that we're all looking for. So anyway, something I wanted to share. All right, God bless.